This video is about unit testing. Unit testing is the lowest level of testing. We're testing individual classes, individual methods. Key advantage of it is it's automated and can be run in a fraction of a second, whereas black box tests take a lot of time for the program to run through. So the unit testing is an ideal way of retesting things. So when you've refactored, you can run all the tests again quickly and see whether you've broken anything or not. In Visual Studio we can do unit testing by adding a new project to our solution. And I did say that solutions can contain multiple projects. We could have had a library class project. We're now going to have a unit test project. So I'm right clicking, adding a new project. I'm looking for a Microsoft test project. Let me just check. You can see there are different test projects. Microsoft's NUnit is very popular. There's also XUnit here, but I think we've got the right one. So we're going to go for an MS test project. So what we can do is give it a name. And I'm going to call it console app.tests. Console app.tests. Okay, and we're ready to go. So you can see I've now got two projects, the console app project and the console app tests. I've just done a build, and as you can see down here, it has built both projects and no failures, though there is a warning here that we haven't got anything in the method yet. Okay, so I'm now ready to save that in Git changes. I keep getting this error, but hopefully I'm going to save them again and it's done. In order to test the distance converter, we will have to have access to the key variables or attributes, the from distance, the to distance, the from unit and the to unit. We're going to have to change them from being private to public in order to do that. And the convention in Microsoft is that public properties, if I change this from a private attribute, it becomes a public property, and properties start with a capital F. So please use rename here. So first of all I'm going to rename these private attributes using the rename. All we need to do is change that to that, and it will apply it to 5 references. And now I'm going to change the word private to public, and to provide access we're going to put getters and setters available like that. Okay, so we've now provided access to these crucial variables to other classes, such as our unit test class, which we're now going to rename. This unit test class is going to be called test distance converter. And what we're going to test is the 6 conversions. So we can rename this first method the very first conversion we did, which was converting miles to feet. Okay, now in order to do that we will need a distance converter. So I'm going to add a reference to our other project. So I'm selecting the console app tests, right clicking and doing add project reference. And the project references to our console apps project. Okay, I'm hoping now it can find our distance converter. It can. Oh, I didn't want to put in like that. I don't like that. Oh, it's being difficult. We can just have a using. And that should build now. Ah, finally, we've now got a distance converter. Okay, having got a distance converter, we should, yes, there we go. The from unit needs to be set to okay, so I've created a new distance converter called converter, and then set the converter's from unit to the distance converter's miles and the converter's to unit to feet. We're now ready to put a from distance in, and the obvious one is 1.0 miles. Okay, we're now going to run the calculation. And we are now going to get the answer. Now what we're expecting the expected result, expected distance, should equal 5 to 80. The actual, we're using the assert class and we're asserting that the two are equal, where the expected result is the same as the actual result, which is the to distance. That's what we're asserting. That will build. We have our first test and we can run our tests. So there should be a test run all tests method. Yeah. That test just hung. It wasn't until I realized I've called the wrong method here. If we look at the distance converter, that convert distance method is the whole thing, and what we wanted was the calculate distance method, but that was private and I couldn't find it. So that needs changing to public. So when we go back to the test, we can now call the calculate distance method. And that test should now run. If we go to tests, run all tests. Finally, there we go. We have our first test that's passed. What I didn't point out to you is that each of these test methods falls into 3 stages. The first stage is to arrange. So in the arrange stage we've created a converter, we've set up all the values, then you act, and then you assert. Arrange, act and assert, the 3 A's. Okay, so let's do a second test. It will be very similar. We'll do the opposite, feet to miles. So the from distance is going to be 5 to 80. And the expected result is 1.0. I've also changed the from unit to feet and the 2 unit to miles, so swap those around as well. And now we can run our tests. So tests, run all tests again. And there we go, we've got 2 of our tests now complete. So that is all the input we need for the first 2 applications, App 1 and App 2. Both of them can now be completed, refactored, they can make use of the user library, and they can be tested fully using black box tests and unit testing. There'll be marks for both.